I always like to end up with saying that we as a milk in the autumn and things like that.
I tell you what, when you go home tonight or wherever you're going,
Look at that out there. Gives you the shits. It was breaking our hearts to see the dairy cows not being fed correctly, not having water, and the water was the main thing. We could not source quality water. The salinity was so high.
We're used to droughts and flooding rains, and at the moment Mother Nature is throwing to us one of the worst droughts ever seen. In fact, it is the most extreme drought that we've seen since we've been taking records for 117 years.
Our dream is finished. We now say the soil and the farm has been very good to us, and we feel as though we're squatting. You know, in comparison to what we used to do, we just feel, yeah, we're here. And I suppose it's a strange feeling.
You know, it's an interesting situation in Australia. We've been arguing over the Murray-Darling Basin for over 100 years. And in actual fact, the decision to federate our nation was held up by the argument as to who should manage water of the Murray-Darling Basin. And South Australia strongly supported back then that the federal government should take the lead role in that. The other states upstream, of course, argued that they should retain ownership of the water. They won then, and we're gradually pegging that back. 100 years later, we're now seeing the federal government more involved in the management of the Murray-Darling Basin. The competing needs are all as worthy as each other. There's just simply not enough water to go around, and as a government we need to try and balance the application of the water to ensure that we can minimise the long-term impact on both the environment but also on the communities that are most affected, and it's not an easy thing to do. There's just simply not enough water to go around.
It's really demoralising for people who their business, their livelihood is just falling apart, not through any fault of their own. Because we're at the end of the system, we utilised all the water that came down the river that everybody else had used. It'd been through, you know, a dozen stomachs before it got to us, and it was the worst quality water in the whole system. And yet here, we were still producing the best quality milk in Australia, in the top 10%. 700 cows in the top 10%. Now that's not bad going. It's affected our rural community, you know, schools, your employment go, they've got children, then that impacts on the school, you know, your hospital, the whole community. It was an insignificant part of South Australia, but as far as the milk companies were concerned, they believed this area was a jewel in the crown for milk production, and it's gone. And hopefully, you know, we can start building it up again in our own business, and the others that have remained will do the same.
We have to have communities that are more adaptable, that are more able to deal with a future where we might get more frequent dry periods. Climate change is upon us, we know that, and we have to be realistic in that. We have to assist in whatever way we can to enable our communities to be more adaptable to a future with less water.